You know, this very short discourse here is about something that I'm sure has enraged quite a few people that it's come to the attention to. Years ago, Martha Stewart had to go serve time in federal prison, I believe it was, because of her involvement in insider trading. Um, it seems like it seems like the law that would apply to those outside of Congress and the Senate would also apply to congressional leaders and representatives of this country. Um, it seems like what's illegal for one is just not, or what's illegal for us, what they would send us to the federal pen for, is not illegal for congressmen. There's some literature that came out a while back, and you cannot read the description of the personal stock trading that allegedly was conducted by Republican Spencer Baucus and other members of Congress during the financial crisis and conclude any other thing other than it just looks like our government is just so completely corrupt. And there is a loophole. Yes, technically it is legal because of an absurd loophole that makes insider trading rules not apply to Congress. Now, does that sound right to you? There is a loophole where they can get by with insider trading. It's widespread on Capitol Hill. There is no universe in which a reasonable person would consider this type of behavior ethical or okay. And for the 300 plus million Americans who aren't members of Congress, it would just be plain illegal. Now, many members of Congress seem guilty here, including John Kerry, Dick Durbin, and Jim Moran. But Spencer Baucus takes the cake. According to a new book called Throw Them All Out by Peter Schweitzer, as relayed by Dave Weigel at Slate, Republican Baucus made more than 40 trades in his personal account in the summer and fall of 2008. In the early months of the financial crisis, the fact that Baucus personally traded on private information he received as a result of his job is bad enough, but the fact that he was the ranking member of the House Financial Services Committee at the time is simply outrageous. Let me give you for one case. The day after getting a private briefing on the collapsing economy and financial system from Ben Bernanke and Hank Paulson, Republican Baucus effectively shorted the market by buying options that would rise if the market tanked. Now, a few days later, after the market tanked, Baucus sold his position and nearly doubled his money. Now, if a corporate executive or Wall Street trader did this, cashed in personally after getting private, non-public information from his work, Republican Baucus and every other member of Congress would be screaming from the rooftops about how the financial system is deeply corrupt and how the executive should be charged with insider trading. And they would be right. Republican Baucus, it's been alleged that he should return the money, whatever money he made by betting on the direction of the markets or anything else in the fall of 2008, and that he should apologize for his behavior and jaw-dropping lack of judgment. That he should urge his fellow members of Congress to immediately enact legislation that defends the fairness of the markets by holding Congress to the same insider trading laws as everyone else. He should then resign in disgrace, it's been alleged. But now, here's the passage from Throw Them Out, as relayed by Slate's Dave Weigel. According to Weigel, it is only one of many examples of Baucus's inside trading. Now, on the evening of September the 18th at 7 p.m., Baucus received a private briefing for congressional leaders by Hank Paulson and Federal Reserve Bank Chairman Ben Bernanke about the current state of the economy. They sat around a long table in the office of Nancy Pelosi, then the Speaker of the House. These briefings were secretive. Often cell phones and BlackBerries had to be surrendered outside the room to avoid leaks. What Baucus and his colleagues heard behind closed doors was stunning. As Paulson recounts, Ben Bernanke emphasized how the financial crisis could spill into the real economy. As stocks dropped perhaps a further 20%, General Motors would go bankrupt and unemployment would rise. If we did nothing, the members of Congress around the table were, in Paulson's words, ashen-faced. Bernanke continued, "It is a matter of days before there is a meltdown in the global financial system." Baucus was among those who spoke. According to Paulson, he suggested recapitalizing the banks by buying shares. Now, the meeting broke up. The next day, September the 19th, Congressman Baucus bought contract options on ProShares Ultra Short QQQ, an index fund that seeks results that are 200% of the inverse of the NASDAQ 100 index. Now, in other words, he was shorting the market. It was an inexpensive way to bet that the market would fall. He bought options for $7,846 on a day when the Dow Jones Industrial Average opened at 8,604. A few days later, on September the 23rd, after the market had indeed fallen, he sold the options for over $13,000 and nearly doubled his money. So you see, folks, what applies as far as the rule of law to you and to me apparently does not apply to congressmen and senators and people in the White House. You know, it is this type of disgusting rot that makes people hate with everything that hate can hate with, the corruption in politics right now. And I would just like to emphasize, and you don't have to look at my video on the Federal Reserve Bank. There's a lot of other ones out there. There's a gentleman from Canada that does a wonderful job on the Federal Reserve Bank. If you don't learn anything else about our society and what's going on today and what's promoting Occupy on Wall Street, go on YouTube and look at some of these videos on the Federal Reserve Bank. If you really want to get a good understanding on why we are financially in the mess that we're in, besides the crooked politics and the insider trading, which is legal for congressmen but illegal for us, learn about the Federal Reserve Bank. Find someone's video. I've got one there. There's others that have videos on the Federal Reserve Bank. Learn what you can on the Federal Reserve Bank, and you will see our money system and our whole system of government in a perspective that you've never seen and understood before. You know, I would like to actually say pray for the nation, but I just don't feel like I can do that anymore because I really already know this nation's gone. There is nothing, no politician. There's no type of legislation that can be enacted to straighten out the mess that we're in. The Federal Reserve bankers, the 12 privately owned banks that have nothing to do with our government, that lend us money and just print it out on paper and ink, and we have to pay them interest back. Now, they're not going to give up that system. That system makes them more money than the tobacco industry, than the alcohol industry, than any drug dealer on planet Earth, illegal. I don't care if they've dealt with it in pounds and tons or kilos or however they measure that stuff. In the trade of illicit drugs or whatever, no one makes as much money on the American people as the 12 privately owned banks that make up the Federal Reserve Bank. Please learn about that, if nothing else, if you really want to understand what's going on today. But, you know, it just really, this is just another segment of what's happening out there about when I think of Martha Stewart going to served time in federal prison, but yet a congressman could sit in with the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Bernanke, and Hank Paulson, who used to work for Goldman Sachs. These people are, look, they know what's going to happen before it happens even with the financial market. And when you could go behind closed doors with them and get insider information, and being a congressman because you're exempt from the law that everybody else is under and can be prosecuted under, and can go out here and buy shares, and you already know it's going to crash, and so and then you could double your money with it. You know what? I mean, now I know there's some of you out there that would say, well, if you could get inside information, double your money, wouldn't you? I like to think I would. By the grace of God only, I'm just blessed to where I'm thankful to get by in life. You know, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to be a very wealthy person, but if I've just got food, clothing, and shelter, I'm happy. But, you know, it's not unreasonable to hold those that are in office, that you vote into office, to a higher standard than people who are just hardworking Americans that give these people in the White House the life of luxury that we do with our tax money. Insider trading, illegal for you and me. We can go to the pen for it. But apparently, Congress, there's a little loophole there. It's okay for them. It's okay for them. If you want to learn more about that and the technical details, just purchase that book that was part of this discourse, part of it that I quoted from. Thanks for tuning in.